In the beginning, the first month was 4K revenue, and then the second month was 8K revenue, and then 16, 20, 30. I remember you saying, if you create content today, it's going to bring in the right people in 2 months' time. This is so true. Having the right support and you pushing me towards obstacles was really helpful. Doing it all alone was the problem since the beginning. That's why I joined this community and started working with you.
So yeah, welcome everyone. I wanted to celebrate some success. I think there's a great opportunity to do that with Asli. Obviously, many of you know Asli very well already, but we've been working together for, let's say, I think it's like 7-8 months now, Asli. And I thought this would be a very good opportunity to debrief your 95K month last month, talk about what you did in the past to get there. I appreciate your time a lot doing this, but I also think it's great to celebrate your success. And considering you joined us making around 5K, I think it's important for everyone, no matter where they are in the journey, to be like, okay, this is exactly what you did. So yeah, firstly, maybe Asli, like, do you want to give a bit of a brief on what your offer is for those who don't know?
Yeah, sure. It's a feminine transformation coaching offer for women in Turkey or from Turkey, who are high achievers, visionaries, but living under their potential, below their potential, and want to have this breakthrough to realize that full potential.
Awesome. So I guess for everyone to be able to relate to where you were at the start of joining us, maybe we talk about like what were you thinking when you were like 7 months ago, when you're like, I'm going to join? Where was your offer at, and what were you like, okay, this is what I need help with, this is what direction I want to point things into?
Yeah, sure. So 7-8 months ago, I had several digital products, and before that I had coaching, but very low mid-ticket coaching, which eventually turned out to be very exhausting. And I decided to go into digital products, which I thought would be easier because it's going to be, passive income. Eventually I had to market all the time, and when I was not online, my business was not generating any revenue. So I was so scattered all over the place. And what I had in terms of like my mindset and beliefs was that it is not possible to charge high ticket in Turkey. People are not willing to invest in themselves. They're not self-aware, or they're not conscious of their problems or their solution. There was a lot of fear involved in the process, I would say.
Yeah, no, 100%. And what initially do you think, because I think a lot of people listening to this will be like, okay, yeah, there is that fear to go high ticket, especially like in any market, I think, but for your market particularly, what were the few things that you think where you're like, okay, actually I can start charging mid 4 figures, high 4 figures for this, even in a Turkish market?
I think it was first starting with a high ticket offer for one-on-one coaching. And every time I make a sale, I was like, maybe this is doable. And I would raise my price a little bit, test the new level, and then that would sell. And I would be like, let's go higher. And then eventually, now we have doubled all the prices.
But it's so funny to think, because I've chatted to multiple people about this, like this kind of vibe pricing, which I think is the best way to price, which is just thinking, okay, I'm going to charge this price. And then you're like, oh my God, so many people have said yes to this. I need to actually make it more expensive. Could you have ever imagined that you were charging the price that you are now in a Turkish market?
Oh, no, not possible.
Yeah, I love that. And so I guess, what would you say for anyone listening who's thinking about who's thinking in that, like, okay, around that 5 to 10K month, what do you think gave you that confidence to go, I am just going to go and charge higher prices. I am going to go and find the people that can pay what I deserve to be paid?
Good question. I think this came from a lot of challenges, objections I had to go through, because every objection showed me where I didn't trust myself and in my product. I was lacking that already. And that's why everyone was coming with some other objections that I couldn't handle, or I wasn't feeling like, be set the boundaries and be like super confident. This is my price. This is what I do. Pay me or just leave. So that was coming from scarcity, fear of losing the client, losing revenue. So I had to work on that trust and confidence in myself and in the product, and which was built through the time when I took the time to make something, like change, adapt, and improve, develop the program itself. Or I rewatch my sessions, and like I was getting very nice comments from ladies, and everything was working out. And I realized I'm not giving myself credit for what I'm already doing.
Incredible, isn't it? It's like you gave yourself the permission to actually to push more or to charge more, and actually you had everything there. It was just you. And I think the same with everyone. Like we are all just in our own way of charging more, growing. It's actually us in our way. And I want to tell everyone a very funny story, which was when you were at the mastermind, my mastermind in Cape Town, and you were just having a good time at dinner, and you're like, I might just cancel the sales call. And I think I've seen a few people like do that now. And like Basit definitely did that when he was in Cape Town as well. And I want everyone to think about that point, because I know like there's definitely times when I was growing the business where I would have never done that. But think about what that frame looks like. And I know that is a case of saying, yes, you look like the money is good, therefore you can cancel sales calls or reschedule sales calls, not cancel them. But as he got to that point where she was saying, I don't even need this sales call. And that is such a big energy thing, because that means that when you do present to a sales call and someone gives you an objection, you're just like, why are you objecting? Like, what is the objection here? And that energy versus the desperate, oh, let's make this work, let's split up payments, let's do that, is really powerful. So I think when I saw you do that, Asli, I was like, you've become truly like an abundant version of yourself, which is so cool to see. Aside from that, like, and obviously the income has been good, but what do you think are some of the other mental shifts that you have gone through as a business owner to be where you are today?
Very good question. I think the first one is to realize all the limitations are in my mind, not in the physical world. It's always in my mind. And whenever I catch myself telling myself a narrative that this is not possible or this is going to be difficult, I just shift that immediately and get into this version of me who's like, okay, I find the solution. I can figure out alternatives. I can do this. So this is one of the things, like directly in the moment, changing that identity, changing that frame and narrative. Another thing is, I think, about hiring, delegating. I always had trust issues with people, and I have high standards. So I believed no one could ever done the work as I do. So I was very hesitant to hire people, but my best hire was my first hire, which is my setter, and she's doing a fantastic job. And incredibly, she's doing more than I could ever imagine for a setter. So I'm so happy I became that leader who trusts in people and hires and delegates. This is very powerful. Even with my creative team now, we are still going through something similar. Another thing was, I think, about content and authenticity. So I was always trying to be like someone else, which never works out eventually because you feel so exhausted. I think it's always coming from the authentic self. What is your truth? What do you want to tell to people? Because everyone here has their truth. Something works and you can help people impact lives. This is the truth. We sometimes forget about what we want to really convey as our message. We focus on how I look, what they think, how can I convince them, how can I be like this person or different than this other competitor. But I think when I focus on who am I speaking on the other end of the camera, who is my ideal ICP, that changes how I speak, my tone, my tonality, everything changes when I have this, like get into that that version who is trying to speak her truth, make an impact, and be useful. Attached, it's completely detached from the outcome, how it's gonna do. Am I gonna get calls today, and so on.
I love that. I love that. And then the last point there, I think, is great because a lot of people, and myself, like definitely, I go back and forth with this. The outcome, right? How do you detach, and how have you worked on detaching from the outcome and actually attaching yourself to the input, the things that you do, the way that you feel about yourself day to day, which was removed from the amount of money you're making?
I think that requires some skill set. One of them is like constant regulation. I had to regulate my emotions. I had to regulate my nervous system because I was feeling a lot of anxiety every time I'm trying to do something about the business. And regulating that physical composition is one thing. And on the other side, mentally, I needed to regulate where my focus at. And so in that point, I think what you said about, because we talked about this so many times, what you said about inputs being the measure of success rather than outputs was so powerful on me, because I keep reminding myself that if I enjoy what I do, if I do the work, if I'm really doing what I feel like doing, what I think what I'm supposed to be doing, this is enough. And so I have had to remind myself again and again, because it's like so sudden. You get attached in a moment. You just need to realize, and then, nope, we're going back. No attachment. It's not about the outcome.
So powerful, so powerful. And it's very funny that you mentioned back to those conversations we have. And I hope you don't, well, I think I asked you to share about it really, but I think a lot of people, especially people who have joined us recently, might sit there and just see you spamming the wins channel over and over again with more and more money. But it really wasn't like that at the start. Maybe you could share a bit of like a light on the start and the conversations we used to have and the things that we used to talk through, because I think a lot of people will go, oh, Asli, just of course she was going to do it. But it definitely wasn't like that from day one, was it?
Not at all. Not at all. I was coming from a lot of limitations and fear, as I said. So I had a huge following even before we started. I had 40, 50K people on my YouTube channel, which put me in a position where I was comparing myself with other creators who were making tons of money with smaller audiences. So there was competition, comparison, feeling less than. I was never enough, always looking for the next shiny object. Is this true? Is this strategy going to work? Because I would come with different, like, I think I ask you so many times, is it possible to not have the sales calls? Is it possible to build a website and do copywriting instead? Is it possible to try this other business model? So I was always trying something else other than me, like outside, that is going to fix, that I thought was going to fix my business. That was one of the things. And then authenticity was a big thing. I didn't feel like I really didn't like filming content at all. It was coming from a forced place. Every time I had to film, I was like, again, what are we going to talk about today? How are we going to change the beliefs and trust, build that trust in me? So content was a big problem. We had a couple of sessions on that. And yeah, I would say also in terms of revenue and my pricing and sales process, in the beginning, everything moved forward step by step. In the beginning, the first month was kind of 4K revenue, and then the second one was 8K revenue, and then 16, 20, 30. So I guess it was all about patience as well, because I was expecting for things to be like in the light of speed of light, which is the thing.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating when you say that as well, because I think I definitely remember one of the biggest things us chatting about was just like, it was the inputs. That was definitely one thing that we chatted about a lot. And then the second thing was about patience and just knowing that those inputs stack up to outputs, but there's a delay, there's a lag, right? And people listening, like there is something very frustrating about the fact you can't move these business things as quick as you'd want to move them. But at the same time, you have to know, like I see it like going to the gym. It's like, you've got to go and eat very healthy today and go to the gym, knowing that the 6-pack or whatever you want to achieve doesn't happen for 3 months. But all good things happen to people who are willing to do things with no results for a lot of time. So maybe that really strikes true for a lot of people. But I remember saying to Asli, like, you're doing the right things, just wait. And that's why when you have this floods of money, it's like, I think Asli, you're happy about it, but it's not something that you're surprised about, because you've done the work for so long in the past without getting the results. There's now like, of course you've made 95K a month. Like why else would it have happened? Because you've worked so hard. So I think it's fascinating to reflect on that. So the one thing that I would say is different to you versus maybe some people on the call to be able to just go and do what you've done is obviously your ability to have an audience. Like 50,000 YouTube subscribers is no mean feat at all. So I'd like to ask you a few things. I think we'll talk about the ICP in a second after that, but I'd like to invite you to maybe share some wisdom about that, because that is definitely the fact you came to me and you had traffic fairly solved helped a lot. What do you think you did to get to a point where you had that many leads that were in your audience, or at least the attention in your audience?
Thank you for asking that. Actually, it was no different than what we did in this program in terms of like this growth process of the business, because my YouTube channel grew in 2 years. So it's not like, again, not sudden. I've seen people doing it in a couple months, yes. But building that trust takes time, definitely. Like, I started 2 years ago without any business, any expectations. And then over time, I started to think about, can I now launch the business? And more maybe impact people towards taking a coaching or buying something from me to get more of what I'm offering right now. And everything, again, build slowly, I would say, but that could be just my speed as well. But what helped me with YouTube is that I was consistent. I did it anyways. I didn't see many results in the beginning. I did it anyways. I always tried to improve and learn because I was passionate about it. So I think that was the thing that put me, helped me stay on this journey. Because if I was coming from a place of, I hate filming reels, I would give up soon. But I loved what I did, so I kept pushing. And I think that's also a bit of maybe characteristics, I would say. I was so determined to make this work that I didn't leave for myself any other option. Going back to 9 to 5 was not an option. I had to figure out a way to make this work.
I love that. It's like, I think sometimes when I ask that question, someone might expect oh, I use this little hack, or I use this thing, or this was the thing that I put in the title. And it's just funny, isn't it? Which is that it's just consistency and doing the same thing. And it's like, and that's why I say it's like, it's not easy doing this business thing, but it is actually very simple, which is you uploaded a YouTube video very regularly, or let's say every week or every few days, whatever it was, for 2 years. And it's like, I look at my YouTube channel, it's not where I want it to be. And I'm like, well, I've only been posting on a year and a bit. So like, of course it's not where I want it to be. So it's really cool to have that lens. I guess the only other thing that I would mention on the content is, while we did have the content, there was a bit of to and froing with the ICP to talk to a specific person and actually attract a specific person through your content, because while you had an audience, a lot of it was not the sort of people we want. So how did you think about attracting an ICP that's willing to pay 4 figures in a like, you know, let's say a less economically wealthy country than say America or the US or the UK?
Yeah, I think I still experience the same thing with my content. There are weeks we have very poor lead quality, and I know this is because of my content. I'm doing the top of funnel viral type content. I'm not speaking to this specific person. And when it comes to fixing that bottleneck, I always bring in one of my best clients in mind, what they're going through, what questions they ask me, watching Fathom recordings, or directly contacting them. Do you need any help with anything? Even if they have just one word to tell me, sometimes I figure out a way to talk about it in a content. So there was a really deep work when we did the ICP sheet, which taught me how to think about my ICP when I'm scripting or when I'm filming my content. Because before, even still now it happens, I'm talking to a very wide audience. Anyone could benefit from that. But then it's always reminding myself again and again, who am I speaking to and what would help this person, and just really resonate, meet them at their level, bring them to the solution. So always keeping that in mind helps a lot.
I love that. And I'd ask everyone listening to this is like, when was the last time you looked or thought about your ICP and looked at your ICP sheet and thought about it? Because again, it's one of these really simple things which seems so obvious. It seems so low leverage and so easy, but it genuinely is a case of saying, like, if you speak, and it's funny, Asli, I remember you saying to me maybe like 2 months ago, you're like, I'm getting all these unqualified leads. It's because I've made all these videos. And it's like, you said it was incredible, the connection between making the video and those people appearing. And obviously, because you're working in large quantities, you really see those swings when you do it, when you do those viral videos and the ones that go top of funnel. So I'd ask everyone to make sure, like, it seems so obvious, and I know I bang on about it almost every single call, but if there's one lever that you can pull, it's think, what does the person who pays a high ticket price look like, think like, and feel? What are they, and how can I make content? Because like Asli has said and done, is if you go and make that content and you attract those type of human beings, or if you go and make that content and talk about those pain points, those people just come. It's like a magic trick. I can't really believe it. And you've shown me on a large quantity, Asli, how that can change week on week, depending on what that content looks like. Okay. I guess the only other thing that I would love to talk on, and then I want to let you just say anything that you feel like is very useful, because I'm sure there's plenty of things that I've not covered. But like, what do you think in terms of, okay, so we got that proof of concept, we started making the sales. What do you think are some of the important steps that you took to actually start scaling that process? Because I think almost every single person is listening here and has had multiple sales. So what do you think is the thing that then helped you get that momentum to start getting to the 95K month?
I tried to track the numbers and everything I've done in the past 2 months. I remember you saying, if you create content today, it's going to bring in the right people in 2 months' time. This is so true, because I look back at my content in February. which got over almost 2 million views in general. And I posted twice a day. And all that content was directly, almost all of them directly speaking to one of my ICP's problems. I doubled down on that month on what's working. And I think after February, it took us 2 months to see the impact of the work we've done. Sorry, could you also ask the question again?
It was actually it was a very broad question. The first answer is really good. You're basically saying like the ability to scale on is just doing the same things repeatedly, which I couldn't agree with more. I feel like we're delivering the most cliche, obvious advice here, but it's great because it's so refreshing that it is actually this simple. But apart from just saying, okay, Asli, we're starting to make money, let's just continue doing what we're doing. The second extension of that is, okay, we scaled, we spoke about editors, setters, about VAs. What have you learned, and what do you feel like the impact on your business has been about this kind of scaling process, about bringing people into your business and about building your program out so that there's multiple people in it?
Yeah, so I think I would say doing everything right, as we talked about in this program, posting the content and then setting up the system, then also doing a little bit of inner work, working on your confidence and worthiness and all. After we set the foundation, I think it comes down to the numbers, because we doubled the numbers. We took more calls than the previous months. We increased the close rate because I was also better at closing. This comes from experience, everything accumulated until that month. And so we perform at the peak level, doubled the numbers, doubled the content. And I was also in a very good energy during the month of April. So I think feel good, do good really works well.
And you were hardly working because I was with you and you were just making money while not working. But that is the tip of the iceberg from 2 years of posting content and having someone in who can work for you. And I say that because it's such an easy, like, I can imagine the YouTube title and like Asli made 95K and she was just chilling in Cape Town. But the thing that no one sees is the 2 years and the 6 months of conversations we had where it's like, this is tough. Like we're really like working out things here. What got you through the moments when you were like, I don't know if this is going to work out or not?
Having the support was the first thing, because doing it all alone was the problem since the beginning. That's why I joined this community and started working with you. Having the right support and you pushing me towards obstacles was really helpful. And then I think having great people around who are going through the same thing, having similar experiences was powerful, because I wasn't feeling isolated in my pain. And also that why part was so powerful. It kept pulling me towards itself. I couldn't let it go. I had to find a way to overcome the obstacle, create something beautiful from what's going on at this moment. So all of that together, I think that's what we all need. Not too many things, not too many strategies, but like knowing that this is going to be hard. This is going to be so hard sometimes. We just need to accept that that feels like shit, but it's supposed to feel like this to be able to improve, to be able to change whatever is not working. So expecting hardship and expecting and accepting is one thing, and then having the support system is another thing, and just being determined and consistent with the work you're doing.
I love it. Such useful advice. Well, I wanted, Asli, to thank you for spending your time sharing with everyone. I know everyone will find it very useful. But yeah, I think Asli's, like, to cap off this, it's like, Asli, I hope you don't mind me saying that you're such a good example of someone who can come in and be where everyone on this call has been, which is not sure if it's going to work out, a fear, being unclear. And by all means, things are never perfect ever. But right now, this is a celebration that I want every single person to be able to do, because as he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met, we'll go for dinner in Cape Town. And then she's like, oh, by the way, I've got calls from 11 p.m. to midnight on demo calls and stuff like that. So like, Azzy is very hardworking, and she makes it as hard, or focuses as much as possible on getting over her beliefs and getting over the things that she knows in her way. And it's been incredible to watch, to go from the first sales call where Azzy was completely unclear of what was going to happen to now. And I want everyone to see this and know that what you are trying to do, whatever direction or niche you're going in, is so possible to be sat here with $95,000 at the end of it. And it's very cool to see, very fulfilling for me. So congrats again, Asli. You smashed it.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you everyone here, helping, supporting, sharing, being vulnerable, being open, because that makes a huge difference. And I think I would also add one last thing to everything we talked about. We really don't need to know what's going to happen if it's going to work. Like, that's what I learned, because I was trying to give myself an answer, which I wasn't supposed to give, because that part of me was the part that didn't believe in the vision, was questioning me all the time. And that's the voice in my head that is like the voice of the fear, always trying to protect me from a possible failure. So instead of giving that the answer that it is looking for, I started releasing that. Like, okay, this is not me. I choose to believe, I choose to know, I choose to embody that I am making 100K a month, although I'm not doing at all. So it's really maybe choosing how we are showing up every day, what narratives we are telling ourselves, and how we are choosing our thoughts.
Incredible. So powerful. So powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, well, let's do some Q&A. I'm going to politely remove myself from this, and I want people to just I think there's a few questions in the group, so I'll ask this one first, but then feel free to unmute yourself and go. So Asli, Ethan asks, have you had a point of momentum feeling like it's stalling? Because that is what I can believe then causes doubt, scarcity, and loss of confidence. So I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but like, when you were in that feeling of not being sure what was going to happen, and the leads weren't coming, we were like, okay, how do we fix this? What helped you stick out things?
I can remember so many moments. I was crying in my bed. I was crying in a call with you. I was like going nuts, so crazy. So I think just going through that feeling is the way. Otherwise, running away from it or trying to avoid it in a certain way, it's not going to work. This should happen and I'm going to go through it, but it's a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, I'm going to become another version of me who has more wisdom, who has more maybe skills, new skills, that to be able to cope with that feeling. For me, it's about regulating how I feel, and really about my mindset, my thoughts, my emotions and everything. So there is no strategy for that, I would say. It just do what you're doing. Sometimes it's actually good to try something different, maybe because this is only a hint that you could do something else in that moment, but keep pushing anyways. Just regulate the emotion, keep pushing.
So powerful. And I appreciate you being vulnerable there, because a lot of people might be surprised to hear that you were at points where you were crying on calls and crying with me. But like, yeah, how nice is that to know, everyone? Because you're probably sitting there going, oh, Asli had it all figured out. And actually you didn't, which was great. Cool. Okay. Actually, I see some questions here. I'll ask James, I'll ask you one for you, and then George, you can George and everyone else who's asked questions, you can actually just unmute yourself and go. But James asked, what's your split of leads, YouTube versus Instagram, and organic versus ads?
James, good question. All organic. Never used ads. But it would be nice to learn that too.
You're good. You don't need to.
Yeah, about the split of leads, it's so interesting, and I think also unique to my ICP. My ICP, the ones who joined the program, are women like they don't engage with my content, but they know my YouTube channel. They watch me for a couple of months, maybe years, silently from background. And then one day they quickly fill out the form or directly book a call. Some of them, I would say 30% would be in my DMs. And so I would say, although they're not directly coming from YouTube, they know me from YouTube. They trust me because of YouTube. And nowadays, what I experience with Instagram is that Instagram brings more views, more followers, more leads, which is true. But those people don't trust me enough yet. So we need to circle them in the ecosystem for a while. And that also makes me think, again, I think they're coming from Instagram if they trust me after watching my YouTube, YouTube, they're coming from YouTube, because we only build the trust after they circle around YouTube and then come back to Instagram.
Powerful. Long form versus short form. Very cool. Okay, I'll let people, I know there's a few comments, but I'll let people just unmute, put their hand up, and one by one, wherever you're on the queue, just go and chuck your questions in.
Cool. I'll shoot. Thank you again, Asli, for doing this as well. If anyone hasn't seen Asli's YouTube, it's sick. I've watched a few videos myself on English captions, so they're good. I've got like 6 questions, so I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to ask 2 of my most important ones. First, how did you actually find or go from just attracting so many leads to actually then finding qualified financially qualified leads?
Very good question. We had a lot of sessions on that with Sol, right? I think 2 things in the process. First, the forms. Calendar forms, we always put the numbers very clearly, not just say 4 figures. Because when you have a lot of leads, and when in Turkey they don't know what 4 figures means, or they assume it's just 1K, you really need to give them a range, which is or say premium, which I do now. I say premium, and then some of them are just, when they see the form, they run away. And then I instructed my setter to be direct about several questions. One of them is about how much of a priority this transformation is for you. We want to understand if she's ready to invest, take the action now. And then we ask in a different form the same question again. Are you willing to maybe delay that for a while, or is this something you're going to do today? Because if they're, what I experienced with a couple of past clients is that they didn't have the money, but they figured out, because they were so determined to make the change and take the action now, today.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you. Second question is more personal. So it's, how important do you feel like being around the right people in Bali and Cape Town has been in comparison to maybe staying at home with other friends who work 9 to 5?
So powerful. I think that's one of the reasons why I made 95K in April, because that was the time after building 5 months at home by myself in a small studio and only going to the gym and seeing my family. I flied out to Cape Town, and my whole environment, my mindset, my energy shifted directly.
Gotta leave Melbourne, I feel. Yeah. Yeah. Last tiny question. It's a 1-word answer, but how many times would you recommend we be posting to YouTube if we're posting multiple times a day to Instagram Reels?
Could you ask that again?
Yeah, sorry, that's my quick accent. How many times a week would you post to YouTube?
Yeah, I've been doing one post a week
Okay.
for 3 years now.
Yeah, wow.
Only
Okay.
now we are aiming for 2 videos a week.
Got you. Cool. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. And don't feel free to ask me all of your questions in DMs or WhatsApp.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
On mute, my friend. Or not connected. I was going to say, Asli, I'm happy you didn't say it's because I spend time with Sol, because otherwise I'm going to have to keep my location. People are going to be like, where are you going to be for the next month? I agree. I think it was being around. There was a good group of us there, wasn't it? It was fun. It was fun. Vasi, go for it.
Yeah, all good. How would you say your why has changed since going through the different ladders of business?
What has changed
In your why, yeah.
in terms of
Your why.
good one. Yeah, the beginning was always about money. I needed freedom, financial freedom. To get that, I need money. So therefore, I was coming from fear. And throughout the process, detaching from the outcome brought me to a place where I had to discover something else about myself, why I'm doing this. Like, if not for the money, why I'm doing this? Where do I find the passion? Where do I find the motivation? And then it became about speaking my truth. And then now it's making an impact, speaking my truth, but also with that making an impact.
Nice.
So cool. Keep going, team. Any questions that anyone has? George, if you want to ram off your list, then
I'd love to. There is a question from Clarissa about PIFs in sales calls.
lovely.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, George. So Asli, thanks first of all for all the info and super, super inspiring. Like, how do you manage? Because that's like something I really struggle with, unfortunately. Like, how do you manage to get people to PIF on a sales call? Because most of the time, I would say like 90% of the time, like payment plans is the only way that I can make the coaching and the investment work for my current leads. So I'm wondering, like, do I attract the wrong leads, or am I not just convincing enough that, I don't know, they need to pay me the full amount? You know, like that's something I'm struggling with.
First of all, it's so good to see you here. Yeah, that's a very good question, because before last month, I didn't get many PIFs. It was also a limiting belief plus physical reality thing. So I didn't believe they could PIF that amount. This was the limiting belief. So I had to reframe that. And I said, no, people can PIF if they're willing to, because I PIFed Sol and I didn't have the money. So I kept reminding myself, no, if you did this, there are other people who can do this as well. You just need to find them. And then the second thing about the physical reality, I think it tells me about something about these leads. So if they ask for the payment plan immediately, I know the quality is not like great, but they fear. Like in the sales call, I need to ask, why do you need that? To be able to understand if they fear, if it's scarcity, or if they don't trust me enough yet. So there's something in the sales call or throughout this whole funnel that we took them that I didn't set the frame right. So with having those objections and questions again and again, I had to work throughout the process to find where didn't I set the frame right, or where didn't I build that trust, ask the right questions in the sales call, and make them affirm that they trust, they know they're going to get the result, and then it improved eventually, I would say.
And where do you think, where was your bottleneck? And when you like, you know, like you looked back and you were like, okay, like was it in your content that you like put the frame like slightly wrong, or like where do you think was the issue?
I think everything has a part in it, because when you do the content in a specific way, like not ICP related, that brings the people who are not ready to pay for you. But also, if you start from the beginning of the funnel and then change content, then change demo calls, change the sales call, whatever it is about the call, I think at the end, they always ask for a payment plan. Usually they ask. And now I start to learn, no, I don't have payment plans. I'm like staying confident, because I was fearing losing them at the very last minute. So I was like, okay, let's get a payment plan. But now I'm like, no, I'm not afraid to lose you. If you're going to piff, let's do this way. And if I see they're really in a financial difficulty, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to help you make this, but I need your commitment as well.
Okay, so you don't offer payment plans at all right now?
No.
Oh, damn. Okay. A long way to go for me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Asli, so I'd love your opinion on this, you specifically. So considering you now charge double what you used to, and that means that some people just aren't going to be able to potentially afford it, or it's going to put them in a hard situation. Maybe some people aren't going to be able to get your help. How have you, what's your mindset around that, knowing that, and potentially not being able to help everyone? For me, like, I almost feel this like guilt sometimes that my price is so high that someone that really struggles with what I help people with may not be able to get my own help. So how do you look at that?
Yeah, good one. I think, first of all, if it's out of my control, I don't try to control, change things, and don't feel guilty about the things that are out of my control. This is one of them. If they can't really afford anything at all, this is not my responsibility. And the second thing, we set the frame in the demo calls for the second call, like this is going to require this amount of investment. Are you physically ready to invest? And we get like, I have half of the money saved, but the other half, when we get that kind of objection, we anyways put them in the second call, but also framing, okay, I'm going to give you this opportunity because I believe you can benefit from this, and I'm going to try my best to help you. I say that, but I also tell them, if finances is going to be the obstacle, or is going to keep you from taking action in the second call, if everything fits, then there's no meaning in doing that call. So is that going to keep you from taking the action? No. Okay, good. Then we can figure out the solution together.
Cool.
Because I'm also willing to help. So if they can even at least the half of it, then it's fine.
Yeah. I would say in what I'm really observing is you're coming from such a place of abundance, just looking from an outside lens. My last final question, thank you, is I know you have launched actually a group offer as well, group coaching, as well as your one-to-one. Be interested to know how you transitioned into that, and actually how results, if at all, have changed in comparison to your one-to-one, if client adherence is worse or the same.
Go on. How I transitioned into group coaching was basically coming from saving my time, saving my energy, and being able to serve better, because I was also getting into a place where I was feeling exhausted from one-on-ones. So we made the shift and really changed a lot of things for me and for my clients as well, because I couldn't imagine that community which Soul built could be something possible for me. So I had limiting beliefs again that, oh, community is going to be like people are going to not going to want to be vulnerable or not going to support each other. And in the beginning, it was really difficult to make it work. Like I had to encourage them, trying to control, force them to share their wins and stuff. But now they are helping each other so much. They are even meeting physically and replying back to each other's questions and all. So I think there are so many people who came to my sales calls and they say, I'm looking for a community where I can find like-minded ladies because I'm so alone. So I think I just saw that space in this market or in my ICP. They needed friendships, they needed support. So now with the group coaching, we are able to provide that as well.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to ask so many questions to both you and Sol. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
This has been awesome, Asli, by the way. Really, really useful. Some takeaways. One question I have that's maybe a bit more like spiritual in a sense, or more identity based, is do you believe that somebody is capable of having such confidence and conviction that they have no doubt? It doesn't even exist in their mind anymore. Or do you believe people will always have doubt in their mind? They just get better at consistently overcoming it.
I would say the second. We are humans and we are wired for fear and doubt, and the ego is always there. Even though we do meditations and regulate, it's only a friction of moment when you realize your ego is in the driver's seat again. So I think,
would you then say, given that fact, the best way to combat that is through disciplined actions that you commit yourself toward to stay regulated, as you said earlier, in a sense?
this is also what I teach my clients in the community. So I think it's about building the habit of being a new version of you. So I'm not doing as much meditations, affirmations, all that inner work and everything as I was doing 3 months ago. To be honest, I'm not meditating at all. But every morning I know I am this person who makes this amount of money or who impacts this kind of people. So I wake up to this version of me because this became a habit, this way of feeling, this way of thinking. So I think we just need to rewire for a while, and then afterwards the new level becomes the new normal. And then for the next step, we need to do some work to get to that habit again.
That's awesome. Would you, before you got to this point, then meditate with yourself and tell yourself visualizations, positive affirmations, as if you were already that person before now?
So strongly. I had a whole routine every morning, every night, and during the day. A lot of things. This is my work, obviously. I do that for my clients, and I was applying what I preach to myself as well.
Awesome. That's really insightful. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I actually do think, just before you jump in, Elliot, that is fascinating that you mentioned that it's your work, because the thing that I see is that the people who scale the quickest are not the most intelligent, not even necessarily some of the hardest working. They're the people that just get over their beliefs and work on themselves the most and put that much work in. And therefore it's cool to see, and it's good proof of concept that you being an expert and being able to work on yourself and knowing how to basically complete self-improvement work has then allowed you to move at such a rapid pace. Because I just tell you things and then you're either like, I'm going to do it, or I've got a limiting belief, and your ability to work through that limiting belief is the quickest that I've seen in a long time from people. And that is cool because it's your work. So I think that's fascinating for other people to think, is you might have the information, but actually Asli's knowledge of how to work on herself is one of the things that has allowed her to move as quickly as she has.
Definitely.
Elliot.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Asli. I had to jump off, so sorry if this has already been covered, but maybe a bit of a tactical question on how valuable you feel your YouTube channel has been to the success that you've had recently, but also over the past couple of months as you've been scaling month on month. I'm currently one platform only, so my YouTube channel is looking pretty bare, but I'd just be super interested to see or hear from you on your experience as to whether you see that's a key part of your success or whether you feel as though you could have been able to get there off of one platform yourself.
Okay, that was fast.
Oh, sorry.
If I got it right, you're asking if YouTube was, how impactful YouTube was in my success?
Yeah. Do you feel that you could have been successful off one platform, or do you think you need both?
With this new version of me, I'm going to answer that from a different identity and belief system, which is I don't put myself any rules at all. Like, you need to post this time, you need to have 2 channels, you need to do. These are all conditioning. And I now let myself believe and like accept that whatever I do is working. I just keep repeating myself, whatever I do is working. No, I don't need another channel. I don't need another strategy. I just keep telling myself, it is working. It is working. Do whatever you like. It is working. So I would say no, because I've seen people doing with only YouTube, only Instagram. There are so many different models. But maybe for the ease of yeah, I would say for making things easier to have the conversations, get to know your ICP and build that trust in the DMs. It's nice to have that conversation, because when I had YouTube and they were booking in directly, they never spoke to me in the DMs. And now I realize in demo calls, they so appreciate the opportunity of me replying to their questions and asking them more and more, and they feel heard, they feel seen. Although this is my setter, but.
And so, yeah, okay. It's great that you've been able to develop a lot of confidence and consistency across both platforms. I'm not sure if you're on other platforms, but I think one of the things that I struggle with is the consistency across one platform, and so that's my current challenge. But I'm only still relatively new to the community, relatively new to free thinkers and to Soul. So yeah, it's definitely a great learning, and I'm happy that this session was able to be organised today as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Also, I started with YouTube only for a year and a half, no Instagram. And we only set the, like, on and off, I tried creating content on Instagram, but again, it is not easily manageable with the time-wise, energy-wise, when you have so many questions in your mind, if, how to create content, But I think I would say once you nail a part of, like, one of the platforms, let's say YouTube, you have a consistent routine of posting 1 time a week, then you can add on Instagram pretty easily, or rather easily, and then work them together, I would say.
That's great. Yeah, didn't know that. That's yeah, very cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Sol.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Well, that was really fun, guys. Thanks very much for joining, and much more importantly, Asli, thank you so much for giving up your time. Yeah, very cool to see how far you've come, and I look forward to continuing the success that you've experienced. What I would love is everyone still listening. I appreciate you spending your time. It would be awesome if you could just drop into the chat. Firstly, a massive thank you to Asli, and secondly, one takeaway that you're gonna think about moving into the next week or this week of your business. I think that'd be pretty cool. So yes, would be awesome to see that. Thank you again, Asli. I look forward to seeing all those messages in the WhatsApp. Let me know what your takeaway is, and I look forward to seeing people around the community. Thank you again so much, Asli. That was incredible.
Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you everyone for taking the time today. I couldn't appreciate more.
Awesome. Have a great rest of your Monday, everybody. Speak soon. Thank you, Asli. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye-bye.